Not. So, anyways, this is just going to be a test. I'll see if how well this works. So it has been 1 year since I've published my novel Scallywags, and in celebration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be reading Chapter One from Scallywags. If you have not bought the book, what are you waiting for? Go to my website and get a copy, or go to Amazon and get a copy. Also, go to my website. I'll see if I can leave a link. I'm still trying to learn all this stuff, but go to my website and sign up for my email list. Read my blogs. Do whatever. Uh, and I'm going to see if I'm going to try to start a YouTube channel. So make sure you go below, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button, and please leave a comment. So here we go. This is Chapter One of Scallywags. Chapter One. My brother's funeral was not as much fun as he wanted it to be. Ray told me what he wanted his funeral to be like once when we were kids. I must have been around 12, so Ray was probably 14 at the time. He said he wanted to have fireworks, loud heavy metal music, girls in leather boots dancing in cages, and maybe even a trained elephant or two. Of course, he had most likely outgrown those specific things when he turned 34, but then again, who knows? The point was, he wanted his funeral to be a celebration, not some depressing cry fest. Too bad that when the time came, it didn't happen the way Ray had wanted. My mother made all the arrangement for Ray's funeral, and she did things her way. She always did things her way. So there I sat in the front row of the church between my mother and my girlfriend Emily. Behind us were about 2 dozen mourners dressed in black, crying and whispering to each other in solemn tones the entire time. The minister gave his eulogy in a monotone that became an annoying buzz. I had no idea what he even said. He lost me after dearly beloved. Ray deserved a better funeral than he got. As I snapped my eyes open, fighting to stay awake for the fifth time, I looked up and thought I saw Ray standing over his own coffin, looking down at his own lifeless body. But something wasn't right with him. He seemed to be translucent, more like a reflection on a car windshield than an actual person. I rubbed my eyes, and when I looked again, he was gone. I glanced around, wondering if anybody else had noticed him, but no one gave any indication that they had seen anything. I dismissed it, assuming I had dozed off for a moment and dreamed it. Then the pirates arrived. They entered through the large double doors, laughing and chatting among themselves. Half a dozen steps into the church, they stopped as a group and became silent, as if they had just realized there was a service in progress. The leader of the group, a tall, dark-haired man with a goatee which stuck out in a point, loudly whispered an apology to the minister. The group, about 9 in all, squeezed past several parishioners to take their seats in the pews. Finally, they settled in, and the minister continued. Except everyone was trying to get a look at this new bunch in their outlandish attire, as if the latest pirate movie was filming down the road and they were all cast members. The minister asked if anyone cared to say a few words. This was to be Mom's moment. She had requested that the minister ask the question so she could tell everyone all about how much she missed Ray and feed off everyone's sympathy. But before she could respond, the pirate leader stood up. I would like to say a few words, if you please, he said. This caused some confusion among the parishioners, since no one expected anyone other than Mom to say anything. But the man in the long red coat and black bandana tied around his left arm was already squeezing past the few parishioners seated beside him and making his way up to the pulpit. Thank you, Reverend, he said as the minister stepped back from the pulpit to allow him to speak. Friends, he began, most of you don't know me, so allow me to introduce myself. I am Captain Willow, and this, he said, indicating the other members of his group, this is my crew. We are the Scallywags of Cannon Lake. The seated pirates all said, "Arr!" We come here today, Captain Willow continued, to pay our respects to our dear friend Long Bucket. The pirates gave another chorus of "Arr!" Of course, most of you don't know him as Long Bucket. Funny story that. Several of the pirates cleared their throats in an exaggerated manner, as if giving a signal to their captain. But I digress. Captain Willow waved his hand as if to dismiss what he was about to say. Most of you know this fine fellow as Raymond Potts. Raymond was one of my crew. In fact, he was my quartermaster. For the past 4 years, we as a crew would all get together and attend various pirate festivals throughout Florida. This year, we plan to take our first cross country trip to the Palo Alto Pirate Festival in California. Long Bucket himself made the arrangements and mapped out our journey. Sadly, we begin our journey tomorrow without our beloved quartermaster. And I'll tell you this much, it won't be the same without him. He was the best among us. Can I get an R? The pirates sang out, R! Everyone else remained silent. Fare thee well, mate, Captain Willow said to Ray, who lay quiet in his casket. May you always have a fair wind at your back, spiced rum in your cup, and a pretty wench on your lap. To our shipmate, Long Bucket. To Long Bucket, the pirates cried out. They all stood and drew their daggers in salute. The other parishioners gasped, pulling away from the crew as if they feared being attacked. The group realized their mistake and sheathed their daggers with apologies. Captain Willow turned to the minister with a deep bow and a sweeping gesture. It's all yours, your reverendship. He stepped down from the pulpit and made his way back to his crew, again squeezing past the same parishioners, repeatedly asking for them to pardon him. The minister returned to the pulpit and asked if anyone else would like to speak, looking at Mom as he did so. Mom sat there with a sour look on her face. The moment was gone, ruined. She would not speak, not now. No one else would either. After the service, the pallbearers carried Ray's coffin out through the front doors of the church and placed it in the waiting hearse. We all followed. Everyone made their way to their respective cars. Mother, Emily, and I had a limousine waiting for us. As my mother climbed into the back of the limo, I noticed the pirate band clambering aboard a rusty old school bus with a wooden figurehead of a mermaid lashed onto its front. On the side of the bus were painted the words, "The Ship." Captain Willow remained at the open door, leaning out with one hand on his hip, surveying all the other cars. I half expected him to pull a spyglass from his pocket and start charting a course for our little fleet. The procession crawled along on its way to the cemetery. The burial took little time, and soon my mother and I were shaking everyone's hand and receiving their condolences. The pirates were the last in line for this. It was the first time that I had a chance to look at them individually. They were a motley crew. Among them was a large man with a shaved head and a big red handlebar mustache, a small frame man with a crooked back, a grizzled old man, an Asian woman wearing a spider-shaped jewelry, and a barrel-chested man with a menacing scowl. And then she stood before me. I looked into her brown eyes, and it felt as if someone had punched me in the chest. Her full lips seemed to be begging me to kiss them. When she spoke, my heart melted. As she walked away, my gaze followed her and met with my girlfriend's eyes. I smiled apologetically and turned to see Captain Willow standing in front of me. I am very sorry about your brother, me hearty. He will sorely be missed, he said, shaking my hand. He and I shared many an adventure together. Why, there was at one time in St. Augustine. I'm sorry, but Ben and I must leave, my mother interrupted. We have a great deal to do, you understand. Yes, of course, Captain Willow tipped his hat. I do ramble on. If you will excuse us. Mother took me by the arm and dragged me away. Emily followed. Ah, I almost forgot. Captain Willow called after us. There is something, perhaps later. Thank you for coming. Mom shoved me into the back of the limousine. As the limousine made its way out of the cemetery, Mom gave a little huff, which she always made when she was annoyed. Emily rolled her eyes. My mother could be a challenge to deal with at times, but I knew enough to wait out the storm. It would pass after a few minutes. What a bunch of weirdos, Mom began. And that man is the worst of the lot. Of course, that was Ray for you. He always associated with the weird ones. I could only imagine the kind of illegal activity they got into. Probably sold drugs. Is that Newton boy all over again? He used to get Ray into all kinds of trouble. Mom, I said, Ray was 6 years old when he and Peter Newton were friends. Yes, she continued, and remember what they did to the Perkins cat? I'll never forget. They ruined a perfectly good electric razor, too. The limousine drove us to Mom's house and dropped us off. There, Emily and I helped Mom get the place ready for everyone who would soon be arriving from the funeral. Mom was her usual controlling self. I was used to it and dealt with it with as much patience as I could. Emily, however, was clearly on edge. Luckily, Aunt Sherry and Aunt Terry arrived to pitch in, which helped to ease the burden, or so I thought. As the guests began arriving and the house started getting overcrowded, I caught a glimpse of my mother chastising Emily over something in the kitchen. Emily waved her hand as if to say she was done. She left the kitchen, grabbed her purse, and walked out the front door. I chased after her. Emily, wait! I called as I caught up with her. Listen, I know Mom can be difficult. She has her ways, but you don't have to leave because of her. I'm done with this, Ben. I'm done with all of it. I came here today because I wanted to be there for you, but I can't do this anymore. Whatever it is, we can work it out. I'll talk to my mother. It's not just her. What is it? What happened? Nothing's happened. That's the problem. I don't understand. Ben, we've been dating for 3 years, and the only reason we started dating was because I asked you out. It's usually the guy who asks the woman out, but that's okay. I liked you, and I was okay with asking you out. But I'll be damned if I'm going to be the one to ask you to marry me. I mean, come on, it's been 3 years, Ben, and you still haven't even given the slightest hint that you might propose to me. If that's all it is, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small jewelry box. I held it up and opened it to reveal an engagement ring, the best that I could afford, which wasn't saying a whole lot, but still I thought it was nice. Emily, I got down on one knee, smiling up at her. Would you do me the honor of becoming Mrs. Benjamin Potts? Emily's facial expressions are somewhat limited, so I couldn't tell what she was thinking. As I kneeled, smiling up at her, she looked at me with a blank expression that could only have meant any number of things. I hoped it meant she was too surprised to speak. Okay, okay, I said. I know the timing is a bit weird, but what with the funeral going on and the problems with my mother and everything, but I've thought about asking you for a while now. I bought the ring after we went to Sanibel Island that one weekend, remember? That was like a year ago. Yeah, I know, but I could never find the right time to ask you, and I had to make sure Mom was okay with it. You had to get your mother's approval? Well, you know how she is with change, and me getting married is a big change. Ben, no, no, I'm not marrying you. I care about you. You know that. I've always cared about you, but you let your mother control your life. No, I don't. Yes, you do. And I can't deal with it anymore. Besides, I'm seeing someone else now. Someone else? What do you mean? I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner. We met a few weeks ago and we started dating. I meant to tell you, but after your brother passed away, I didn't have the heart to. You're dating someone else? He's a really nice guy. You'd like him. Sure, maybe the three of us can hang out sometime. Actually, that might be a bit awkward. I was being sarcastic. I got to my feet, frowning at the ring the whole time. I couldn't even look at Emily. Behind me, a vehicle pulled up to the house, sounding as if every gear and engine part were about to break down. I knew exactly what vehicle it was, too, just by the sound. I looked over my shoulder to see the pirate crew climb off the old school bus with a mermaid figurehead still clinging to the front grille. I continued to watch them as Emily spoke. I think I should go. I hope you meet the right woman one day, Ben, but do yourself a favor. When you do meet her, don't be so afraid to tell her, and who knows, it just might be her. I turned back to Emily. Her? Who her? Her! Emily pointed at the young woman with the pirates as they filed into Mom's house. The one dressed like a pirate or a gypsy or whatever she's supposed to be. I don't even know her. I saw the way you looked at her earlier. For once in your life, Ben, take a chance. Emily got into her car and drove away. I stood there by the road feeling empty, watching her car turn the corner and disappear from sight. There was some commotion at the front door. I didn't hear it at first, but eventually it caught my attention. The pirates were being unceremoniously escorted out of the house by my aunts. Aunt Terry even wielded a broom, waving it like a club. Captain Willow held up his hands, attempting to reason with my aunts, but to no avail. The group gave in and marched back to their bus. Then Captain Willow stopped and looked in my direction. Potts, he called as he walked over to me. Brother of Potts, there you are. What is it? I stuffed the jewelry box with the ring into my pocket. It would appear your mother does not care for our company. We were ordered to vacate the premises under no certain terms. Yeah, well, Mom never did care for any of Ray's friends. Well, no hard feelings, eh? He wrapped his arm around my shoulders and pulled me to him. Now we go to the nearest tavern and drink to your brother's memory. Come, what say you, Potts? Have a drink with us? Thank you, I said, but no, it's been a rough day and I should be getting home. Ah, well, some other time then. It was good to meet you, Potts. Thank you, I said. I'm sure Ray appreciates that you came, if my mother doesn't. Yes, old Long Bucket is in a better place now. I guarantee that much. Well, I must be off now, Potts. Take care of yourself. You too. He shook my hand and started walking to the bus. Halfway there, he stopped and turned back. Once again, I almost forgot. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a letter sized envelope and held it out to me. This is for you. Long Bucket, I mean Ray, gave it to me the last time I saw him. He asked me to give it to you. Ray gave this to you? I asked, taking the envelope. It had my name on it. He was always about the melodrama, you know. Everything had to be big and dramatic. Well, there you go. Good night, Potts, brother of Potts. I watched as he climbed aboard the bus and the bus pulled away. I had no idea what to make of any of it. Too much was happening at once. Ray died, Emily broke up with me, and the pirates made it all feel like some surreal dream. I stood there with Ray's letter in my hand. I looked up as the old school bus pulled away, but as it did, I noticed one of the pirates standing under a streetlight several houses down, watching me. I couldn't understand why he wasn't on the bus with the others until I realized it wasn't one of Willow's crew. It was Ray. He wore pirate garb and held a goblet in one hand, his other hand on his hip. He looked right at me. After several moments, he raised his goblet, smiled, turned, and vanished. Well, that's it. Chapter one of Scallywags. I hope you all enjoyed that. Um, Maybe next week I'll do a short story or something. I'll see how this works out. All right. Once again, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, put this out so you have, in case you have other friends who might wanna see it, in case you know somebody else who might also wanna see it. Have a good one, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye.